Right, so hello viewers and welcome to Imagine Earth. I'm your host Pipichuchu, and today we will be playing a recently released Steam Early Access strategy game. So the general premise behind Imagine Earth here is that you sort of play as this space colonization corporation, and I would consider it like an exploratory game where you sort of have to balance out the economics of the company itself, the planet itself versus the ecosystem of the planet here. So we don't have enough time to do a full let's play, and I think we only have enough time to say check out this introductory level. So let's just sort of begin, and let's really just get on started with playing. So the game here will tell us a little bit about the camera system inside the game, and you get this wonderful 3D or glow, like an actual 3D like sphere planet, which I thought was pretty cool. And all we have to do here is that, for whatever reason, the introductory scenarios work off of this scenario, or work off of this premise, where you're just really supposed to collect these bright yellow coins, and they'll allow you to unlock things. It's kind of weird, but at the same time, I mean, it's all right. I suppose it's a better tutorial system than most. So yeah, let's unlock the city center building, which will allow us to build more things. Thank you for the cache tutorial. And well, let's get started with colonizing our planet by putting down the city center here. That'll make landfall, and that will allow us to build more things in this sort of zone of control it puts down onto the planet here. So yeah, that'll open up this area, and that'll allow us to build things. Now, one problem with the game so far is that inside the current version, the sound inside the options for the game, there's, for whatever reason, no way to actually change the graphical settings, and there's no way to actually change down the in-game sounds. You can change the volume for the music, but that is pretty much it. So, like, excuse me if like the sound effects for the game are a little too loud, especially that construction one. But there doesn't seem to be a way to change that in-game, and I've already lowered it inside or outside game inside Windows, so that is sort of that. Right, so now the HUD opens up a little bit more now that we have the city center there. We need power to power up other buildings in the city itself. We need food to obviously feed the people, and we need some goods to be produced here because, well, without goods, nobody really wants to live on this planet. So the sole thing that you really do inside this game is just build buildings on the map, and you upgrade these buildings, of course. And I suppose the main, well, concept of the game is that you really want to plan out, say, where do you want to put your things. So for example, we have these tiles over here, which are like these fertile farmland zones. We can place down some industrial farms here to gain a little bit of extra, say, food productivity, but at the same time here, so say for example this area, we have one farmland right here, right next to a fossil deposit. So if we put down a power plant here, that's going to negatively affect this farm. On the opposite side, of course, putting down that farm first and then building down a power plant later on will of course create the same effect where these two buildings sort of cause inefficiency. So most of the sort of strategy elements are sort of based around that element of just sort of planning out your cityscapes here and there. So what I usually like to do is that I like to start off with two farms, and these are two pretty good zones. We'll start off by building those here, and then we'll move on to electricity here as soon as the second farm is built. There we go, and the tutorial will advance. Right, so use one of these yellow coins, unlock the coal power plant, and there's a nice fossil fuel deposit over here, and over here, and over here that we can build on. Oh, actually, no, we can't build on this one just yet, so I think we'll put it over here. So yeah, as you might imagine, I mean, the terrain tiles come in various different flavors. Inside the tutorial level here, of course, we have those fossil fuel deposits, that rich farmland, some of these forests that you can cut down for money, along with some rocks. And again, you can get rid of these for A, building space, and B, for just sort of cash. But at the same time, you do have to manage the ecosystem impacts of cutting down these areas. And later on, you find like gold deposits and artifacts and temples and stuff and such like that. So there we go. So we have farm, we have electricity. Now all we need to do is find a good location to build a factory to produce goods, and then people will start to settle here and there along the planet. So I'm going to put the factory again just sort of far off from everything else. We'll build it up over here inside this area of the world. And that should allow the first batch of colonists to arrive onto the planet. There we go. So that's going to be built. It's going to give us back our 1 yellow coin, and that's going to unlock this portion of the HUD here. So our objectives are listed here inside the bottom right corner. At the top right corner, you have your population number and the growth. You have the ecosystem's emission bar here, and you also have a date, which the game really works off of the game's replayability. Really just sort of works off of the whole like score attack thing, where you want to obviously keep production low, keep the population growing high, and the amount of time you use per mission low. And another thing that the game has is this sort of like meta research thing where you can unlock different techs here, and the first one I'm going to get is this woodland clearing. We already have repair, civil engineering, and metropolis, where large city 2 unlocked. So I'm going to go for woodland clearing because on the tutorial map here, as you might imagine, we have quite a few of these forest zones which we can now clear for some cash and of course that building space. Right, so let's go and let's build a few city districts. So on our cities, if I hover over them, you'll see that there's one blue bar and the little smiley face, and of course that green bar. The green bar is health. Eventually, if your emissions status goes up too high, and this is like pretty much global warming, eventually more and more disasters happen, especially once you go past, say, 50% emission balance. At that point, actually, this whole chunk of like Arctic, where, you know, just like ice up in the North Pole of this planet, will actually start melting, and it'll actually like overwhelm some of the tiles on the planet with just water or ocean. So again, a neat bit there. Now, yeah, this blue bar here just effectively tells us the capacity of this particular city tile, and currently it's at full, meaning that this tile is at full capacity. So then so no population can grow here anymore. And that smiley face, of course, just means that the people here are happy, which affects the growth rate. So what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to build 3 city districts like that, so we'll get a lot more area to, say, house people. And of course that will be very helpful for us. And what I'm going to do here is that I'm just going to just sort of strip down all of the forests inside our current zone. So there we go, like that. Right, so now population is increasing once more, and our objectives for now is to reach 250,000 people, so that'll come up very shortly here. There we go. Right, so the game will reward us with 1 more research point, and I think from here we'll unlock mining, so we'll grab that. And that'll of course allow us to clear up these, say, rocky tiles now. Come on, there we go. And I'm going to clear up over here so that we can access that fossil deposit, and I think we'll just open up this area as well. Now, the game should have told us a little bit about upgrading these towns, but we can actually expand the cities, provided that we meet the requirements for it, and I believe it's the sole requirement is that you have to put down adjacent city districts near these ones before you can expand them like such. And once they expand, they will, well, once the city center expands, it'll open up more area here. Of course, we can use this area for, say, more farms and stuff and such like that. And again, I mean, you really do just have to balance out, say, how many farms, where do you want to put your farms, how many of you have, versus how many power plants, and likewise how many factories here as well. So we're cleaning up this area decently well. I think we'll put down another factory over here. And the main thing is that we just want the inter sort of relation of these buildings to be at, say, like a neutral point. Because again, I don't want to build, say, like farms next to factories, which will produce pollution. And things like that would just sort of go as is. So there we go, we unlocked some more research points, and I think I'll put them into, say, demolition right here, and then physics. Physics here will give us an upgrade for our power plants, which will make them slightly more efficient. Let me see whether or not we can find one of them. There they are. We can upgrade them with this district heating thing now, which will allow them to generate +5 more units of power, but it'll cost us a bit in terms of upgrade costs. We'll just put that down. Currently we need another power plant, and luckily our mining has been completed over here, so we can use that fossil fuels location. So perfect, that'll expand our town over there, and over here we have 2 great farm locations, so we'll capitalize on that. And I think we'll go for another, say, farm, or no. Yeah, you'll see here that if I hover over the zones, it'll tell us how the other buildings are affecting the one that we want to build. So for example, that factory with the city district looks like that puts a -1 on food production for this farm, and that factory where, no, that's a power plant, puts a -3 on it. So we probably won't build there, not for now at least. Right, so we have power, we have food, and we also have goods. I think we'll need another power plant just over here, I guess. And we'll let that build. And in the meantime, of course, we want to expand the town some more, so we'll put down 2 more city districts over here, and then we'll be able to upgrade the city we're expanded. So that'll be that. Right, and of course all I'm doing here with the resources is that I want to future-proof them, so that when our population grows, the upkeep won't be too bad. And at one point, your population will grow to the point in which you can build another city center. So for some scenarios, depending on how the planet is just sort of shaped, I sometimes like to build like another just town entirely, but usually what I find helpful is that instead of, say, actually using the city center as, say, an actual, well, city center for the purposes of building another city, I can, say, just drop it in another part of the world and use it to capitalize upon the different resources available here, because of course it increases that area in which we can build in. So if we expand it over here, and what I can do now is that I can drop, say, a factory, coal plant, and a farm right there, and those will just sort of do its thing. And in the meantime, I can increase the city areas now. Can I expand it over here? No. And that'll be sort of that. Alright, so now once these areas are finished, I can of course upgrade them for their capacity increase, and we are getting very, very near the end of the scenario. And here it'll unlock the ability to replant forests. And there we go. So yeah, at one point, natural disasters will start to happen, depending on your emission rate. And this will, say, put down some of these tornadoes and stuff and such like that. And they will do a number on your planet if they go up too high. Right. So there we go. That is the first scenario present within Imagine Earth. I hope you guys enjoyed this sort of introduction to the game. And of course the game's Steam page will be linked inside the description below, and be sure to like and subscribe if you've enjoyed this video. So I think I'll see you guys next time. Till then, bye bye.